My name is Emery, and I work as security at a specialized facility similar to a mental hospital. What sets the residents apart here from any other mental institution is that they all have something special or supernatural about them. Even members of the staff and workforce at this place have something that sets them apart from the regular, everyday person, including myself. After an incident with one of the residents, I decided to dive a little deeper into the young woman's past and take a look at her life. Unlike most medical businesses or facilities, this actually isn't a problem here, even though I'm part of a security staff and not the medical staff. I won't bore you with the details as to why though. I do want to say first off though, that this woman doesn't appear on the outside to have anything special about her. Until the event that had sparked my interest in her file occurred, I honestly couldn't even understand why she was here. The only thing that seems to set her apart from a typical human on the outside is that her hair is naturally alabaster in color. Well, at least it's naturally that color now. I guess it wasn't always that way, but it changed it now. She doesn't dye it. As far as I can tell, no one has a name for what she is, and her origins have not been determined. Also, I will use the name given to her since she came into our care, as opposed to her real name. I'm not sure why, but everybody here, including herself, calls her Virgo. Actually, there are a few residents that go by different names, including several others that have zodiac names. In Virgo's file, I found a thumb drive that included audio recordings of a few sessions she'd had with the doctor. There were only 5 sessions and 4 of them were mostly her answering the doctor with either silence or very limited words. The third one of the bunch, however, was enlightening as to what happened for us to eventually bring her here. It's the only one where she actually speaks. The following is my best attempt at transcribing the discussion between her and Dr. Cashian, a doctor at this facility. Miss, are you willing to speak today? Call me Virgo, like everybody else does here. Okay, Virgo, are you ready to talk? Virgo can be heard sighing deeply, and there's a moment of noise that seems like somebody is shifting in their seat on a leather couch. Metallic clanks can also be heard, I assume from her being handcuffed or chained. If I tell you what happened, can I leave? You know that isn't an option. You killed quite a few people and you're a danger to society. If you were to be released, then the most likely scenarios for your life would be you killing more and eventually being caught and put into a prison, or killed. The group is willing to house and feed you, keep you safe and keep others safe from you. With enough time and your cooperation, you could become trusted enough to roam the grounds without the kind of precautions we are currently having to take. So it doesn't really matter if I talk or not. My life is no longer mine, no matter what. Dr. Cashian pauses and clears his throat. That's really up to you, Virgo. The more you fight us, the less freedom you will have. However, if you can prove to have self-control and be of use, you will find that there can be many rewards. I have no doubt that you can find a sense of normalcy here, as others have. And there is a long pause here before Virgo finally speaks. Alright, where am I supposed to begin? Where do you feel like it all started? Were you a child? Did something happen to you? Is this something that your family dealt with as well? I was an orphan, so I would have no idea about my family. I didn't have any eating issues as a child though, if that's what you're asking. I was normal, if not a little shy. I didn't start having any cravings until what happened with Marie. Marie was your first victim, correct? Virgo was obviously a little agitated. Marie was my girlfriend. What happened with Marie? Virgo sighs again, this time a little ragged. I thought that she loved me. I know that I loved her. Another pause. We had been dating for 6 months and I fell hard and fast. She was absolutely beautiful and funny and just mysterious enough to keep me guessing sometimes. I guess she was also secretive in the fact that I had no idea what she had planned for me. That night changed everything. What night specifically? The night we both died. You're still alive though. She brought me back. Can you please explain what transpired? Of course, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Are you willing to tell me? Noises indicating somebody moving in their seat sound once again, and it can be assumed that Virgo nodded her head in response. Whenever you're ready. It was late, just after 2 a.m. I remember because I got off work around 1:30 and had just gotten home when she knocked on my door. It had been a long day, but she texted then I could go over to her place and we could spend the rest of the night and the next day together. I was getting some clothes when she knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting her to pick me up, but it was a happy surprise. I grabbed my overnight bag and we got in her car. She had hot chocolate waiting for me and I drank it as she drove. When we had got to her house, she said she wanted to show me something. She seemed really excited about whatever it was, so I gladly followed her to the basement. While going down the stairs, I felt myself get woozy and it was difficult to keep my balance. It was almost like I had vertigo and the descent was doing a number on my equilibrium. I made it down though with Marie's help. She seemed so caring and kind. Virgo's voice drifts off as she remembers. What was in the basement that she was so excited about? At first, I couldn't really process anything that I was seeing or what was happening. She led me to a chair and had me sit down. In my state, I didn't realize how strange the chair itself was or really noticed her strapping me into it. The next thing I remember is opening my eyes and not knowing how much time had passed. My head ached a little and I tried moving, but I couldn't, which alerted me that the straps were on my arms and legs. Marie was there and came over, talking in a soothing voice. She told me that everything would be alright and that she loved me. I couldn't understand what was going on and I told her to let me go. She told me that she couldn't just yet, that she needed to try something and I was perfect for it. She picked up a corked vial from a table nearby and told me to drink it. At first I refused, but she promised that she would let me go once I drank it. I didn't agree to it immediately, but eventually, I let her feed me the liquid. It burned going down my throat, but that quickly subsided to a warming tingle that started in my chest and spiderwebbed out to the rest of my body. It was euphoric. It felt like my entire body was light as air, but somehow also connected to the ground. I don't just mean the floor either. It was as if I had roots that extended from my feet and pushed through the cement floor and into the earth below me. What was it that she gave you? I have no idea, but whatever it was, it wasn't enough. In my delirium, it was easy for her to give me another vial and have me drink it with no problem. I remember her feeding me the second liquid and it feeling cold as it entered my body, like drinking the iciest water imaginable. Everything started to fall away from me then, and I felt those roots connecting me to the earth begin to shrivel and decay. I coughed and I leaned to the side, spitting up whatever was coming up my throat. I remember the thick green and dark red liquid forming a splatter on the floor, and how I thought for a second that it would have been pretty if the colors were brighter and it wasn't such a mess. And then I died. How do you know that you died? Because when I came back, Marie was leaning over me, her head on my chest, crying. She looked up quickly, tears all over her face, and she kept on telling me that I had died, that I had lost the pulse and that I hadn't been breathing. She shouted and said that I had been gone for hours, that there was no way I could be back, that I had already begun to grow cold. Everywhere she came in contact with my skin, she felt like fire against me. She was a pillar of comfortable heat that I needed to get closer to. It was like when you're somewhere cold and there's a bonfire and you keep edging closer and closer to the flames, trying to capture their warmth until you're so close the embers and sparks are almost catching your clothes. So you also felt cold? No. A short pause. It was hard to explain. She was made of fire and wanted to feel that fire, but at the same time, I didn't really feel cold. I wasn't shivering or actually feel like I was cold. What happened then? Virgo starts but trails off. And there was a long enough time without any noise and I had to check and make sure the recording was still going. Finally, after a minute of silence, Cassian speaks. Do we need to stop? Virgo at this point was audibly sniffling. No, I'd rather get it out now and not have to speak of it again. Okay, take your time. She kissed my lips and her heat pulsed against me, blooming from my mouth to the rest of my face. I needed her in a way that I never needed anybody before. I held her close and I kissed her back, savoring every second as I lost control. And the next part is still a bit of a blur. Just tell me what you can. I'm not sure when it happened, but my teeth had become sharp and I must have grazed her lip. She pulled back, blood bubbling to the surface where her bottom lip had been cut. As she moved, I felt every bone in her body shift. I heard them, and it sounded like a sizzling meal. My heart pounded in my chest and the invisible roots I had felt before shuddered with excitement and longing. I acted before I knew what I was doing. She had no time to react. I lunged for her, pitting her to the floor, several bones crunching under the force I exerted. It was mouth-watering. My nails had hardened in between them and my teeth. I tore into her flesh like it was nothing. I ripped away skin, muscle, and tissue until I reached those beautiful bones of hers. At first, it was difficult to detach one, but by the time I dislodged one of her ribs and put it in my mouth, it was clear that the effort was worth it. It was easy to crunch and I slurped the marrow, savoring it on my tongue. When I had finished the first, I just kept going. I felt as if I hadn't eaten in years. Virgo's voice cracks and she begins to sob. It was so incredible that I didn't even notice when she died. I don't know if it was before I started eating or after. I don't know if she saw me rip into her ribcage and begin feasting. I couldn't stop until I was full and most of her skeleton was inside of my stomach. What did you do after that? I ran. What else could I do? I grabbed her car keys and I went back to my place. I knew I couldn't stay there. I had just killed my girlfriend. Why did you go back home first? I had to get clean. I was covered in gore and bits of Marie. I was so scared that somebody on their morning commute would notice me. And did anyone notice you? Silence for a moment. From what I read in her file, I think she shook her head here because there is no notation that there is any witness on that day. If you went home, why did you leave everything there when you left town? It was all material. I cleaned myself up and I just grabbed some clothes. I withdrew as much money from my bank as I could without closing the accounts and I left town. I didn't need anything else. The most important thing to me was already gone, dead, and it was all because of me. Did you ever go back to Marie's home? Do you know what they found there? No, I never went back and I didn't know anything was found. Did you know that Marie was a witch? What? What the hell are you talking about? It was kept out of the public reports, but yes, the group did their own investigation and research. Marie was a witch and those liquids she gave you were potions. She was attempting to cross science with magic. What she tried to do was reckless. Virgo was angry at this point. Bite your tongue. Marie was incredible. She never would have done anything to hurt me on purpose. Did it ever occur to you that she might have something to do with how you are now? No. She pauses. Did she? Cassian takes a moment before answering. He sighs and continues. No, not entirely. As far as we can tell, she is the reason you died, but what she was attempting would not have caused you to become this. Her potions were amateur, and although there is an obvious side effect aside from your death, they are not the reason you crave bones and marrow. What side effect? What color was your hair before you ingested her solutions? Dark brown. And now it's white. Is that all you care about? My goddamn hair? I killed my girlfriend. You also killed 17 other people before you were caught. They didn't matter. Why not? They had lives, families, friends. Why is it only Marie that it mattered? Is it because of your attachment to her? No. Yes. I don't know. Why didn't you ever eat as much as any of those people as you did with Marie? Virgo was quiet now, almost at a whisper. They didn't taste as good. I see. Is that why she mattered? Fuck you. She mattered because I loved her, not because she tasted better than anything I'd ever eaten in my life. You need to calm down. You need to go to hell. I won't calm down. I told you what had happened and all you can do is sit here and talk about Marie like she was nothing. She was everything. She was my everything. At this point, noises can be heard and combined with Dr. Cashian's notes. I believe Virgo got off the couch and began advancing on Cashian. After a beeping noise from the phone, "Security, please escort Miss Virgo back to her room immediately." No, I don't want to be stuck back in there. The door is heard opening and Virgo begins cursing and crying. A brief scuffle is heard as she is presumably forcibly taken out of the room. After there is silence for a few seconds, Cashian speaks into the recording device. The subject shows intense emotions in regards to her first kill. I will not be filing an incident report at this time. Please note for the record that subject named Virgo is prone to outburst and must be sedated until deemed ready for interaction and cooperation. He lets out a loud breath. We must continue to research what kind of creature feeds off of human bones. In the meantime, we will attempt to keep her satiated with animal bones. And that is all for today's session. And the recording ends. Honestly, I've never heard of anything like this woman. She ate the bones of her girlfriend, and sometimes I catch her looking at me as if I'm her next meal. Virgo actually seems nice and caring most of the time, but sometimes, especially since the incident, I think I make her salivate.